President Sisi tells UK Prime Minister Summer Egypt firmly rejects any displacement of Palestinians. President Sisi meets with PM Madbouli and Petroleum Minister Badawi to review Egypt's energy readiness for summer. And Egypt welcomes growing international criticism of Israeli action in Gaza. The news in detail. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has emphasized to the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer his country's firm rejection of any resolution that undermines the Palestinian cause or forces Palestinians to leave the land. President Sisi highlighted the importance of international support for the Arab Islamic plan for Gaza's reconstruction and praised the UK's positive stance on the developments concerning the Palestinian cause and the situation in Gaza. They also discussed ways to enhance bilateral relations, particularly in economic and investment sectors. Both leaders agreed on the need for continued coordination on regional and international developments. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held a meeting with Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli and Minister of Petroleum Karim Badawi to review the country's energy readiness ahead of the summer season. Discussions focused on securing petroleum needs, maintaining electricity stability and addressing recent gasoline supply concerns. The meeting also covered the latest oil and gas discoveries. President Sisi emphasized boosting local production, attracting foreign investment and developing the mining sector. He also called for streamlining licensing procedures to facilitate international energy companies operating in Egypt. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has met with Shell Global CEO Wael Sawan in Cairo alongside Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli and Minister of Petroleum Karim Badawi. President Sisi welcomes Shell's continued partnership with Egypt, praising the company's contribution to the petroleum sector. Shell's CEO expressed appreciation for the President's support and reaffirmed the company's commitment to strengthening its strategic collaboration with Egypt. Talks focused on enhancing cooperation in oil and gas exploration, as well as improving the overall investment climate in the country's energy sector. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and First Lady Intisar al-Sisi have extended their condolences to Sultan Haytham bin Tariq of Oman and his wife following the passing of the Sultan's mother-in-law. In their message, the President and First Lady expressed heartfelt sympathy, prayed for mercy and eternal rest for the deceased, and wished the family patience and comfort during this difficult time. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has received a phone call from Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye. The two leaders affirmed their commitment to boosting economic, trade and investment cooperation, reflecting strong bilateral ties. They also reviewed regional development, including efforts to combat terrorism and promote stability in the Sahel. The call also covered the situation in Palestine and Egypt's ongoing role in supporting peace and stability across the Middle East. Egypt has welcomed growing international criticism of Israeli action in Gaza, particularly the use of excessive force and starvation tactics. In a statement issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Egypt pointed to recent developments, including a joint statement by France and the United Kingdom, as well as Canada and the European Union's review of Israel's compliance with bilateral agreements. The ministry praised all efforts aimed at upholding Palestinian rights and reaffirmed Egypt's commitment to addressing the root causes of the conflict. It emphasized that a two-state solution with Jerusalem as the capital of the Palestinian state remains the only viable path to lasting peace. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Immigration Badr Abdulati has held a series of high-level meetings on the sidelines of the Africa-EU ministerial meeting in Brussels. Abdulati reaffirmed Egypt's commitment to deepening partnership with both African and European countries, highlighting shared interests and the importance of boosting regional cooperation across multiple sectors. Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati has met with his Ghanaian counterpart in Brussels on the sidelines of the Africa-EU ministerial meeting. Abdulati praised the strength of bilateral relations and the importance of continued consultations under the two countries' political dialogue framework. He also welcomed the rise in trade volume from $177 million in 2021 to $240 million in 2023 and called for the enhanced cooperation, particularly in counterterrorism and healthcare. The Egyptian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has launched sustainable pathways at Cairo Airport for citizens of African Union member states, coinciding with Africa Day celebration on May 25th. This initiative aims to facilitate the increasing number of African visitors to Egypt and enhance their reception. Ambassador Ihab Awad emphasized the government's commitment to strengthening Egyptian-African relations and promoting tourism scholarships and cooperation to address shared challenges. The EU delegation in Egypt, in collaboration with the Ministry of Higher Education and the Academy of Scientific Research, has launched the Horizon Europe Work Programme 2025 in Cairo. Over 150 attendees, including academics and officials, discussed new opportunities for Egyptian entities under the EU's €95.5 billion research programme. Ambassador Angelina Eschhorst and Minister Mohammed Ayman Ashur highlighted Egypt's growing role in European research and innovation. Following the April 10th agreement, Egypt's institutions can now participate in Horizon Europe, gaining access to funding, research, infrastructure, and international collaboration. The event also marked the extension of the PRIMA partnership, focusing on sustainable water and food systems in the Mediterranean. Egyptian Deputy Prime Minister of Health and Population Khaled Abdel Ghaffar has met with José Manuel Barroso, Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Global Alliances for Vaccines and Immunizations, the GAFI. During the 78th World Health Assembly in Geneva, the meeting focused on strategies to expand vaccine manufacturing in Egypt and across African countries. Hossam Abdel Ghaffar, the official spokesperson for the Ministry of Health and Population, stated that the discussions centered on enhancing vaccine production, improving vaccination programs, and strengthening primary healthcare systems in the region. Both parties also agreed to collaborate to ensure equitable access to vaccines in Africa and the Middle East and North Africa. Egypt has celebrated the International Day for Biological Diversity through activities on the Ministry of Environment's social media under the theme Harmony with Nature and Sustainable Development. Minister Yasmin Fouad stressed the importance of integrating biodiversity with social, economic, and environmental goals and urged nations to align their strategies with global frameworks. She highlighted Egypt's leadership in environmental efforts, including hosting COP14 and COP27, and its work and biodiversity and climate strategies, and called for international cooperation and greater youth and women's involvement in global environmental challenges. Egypt has restored the Abu Mina archaeological site in Alexandria after rising groundwater threatened the UNESCO World Heritage Site. The site, located southwest of Alexandria, once served as an early Christian pilgrimage destination but has faced significant structural damage due to groundwater seepage from the surrounding agricultural land. A dewatering project is now in place to contain the issue, and further restoration efforts will commence once the groundwater situation is fully controlled. The site has been part of the UNESCO World Heritage List since 1979. Egypt's Ministry of Housing has announced a one-year extension of investment incentives for real estate and service projects in the new urban cities. The decision, approved by the New Urban Communities Authority Board, aims to support investors and accelerate developments in mixed-use, integrated and service sector projects. The extension is part of the government's strategy to boost private sector engagement and economic activity. The qualified projects must meet specific financial, legal and technical criteria. Additionally, the government approved maintaining a fixed 15% interest rate on installment payments for real estate, agricultural and tourism developers until May 15, 2026, easing financing burden for infrastructure developments. The Suez Canal Authority has introduced a 50% discount on crew replacement fees effective from June 1st for a period of 3 months. The discount applies to rental fees for marine launch used for crew changes at the Ismailia Yacht Marina, reducing the cost from $400 per hour to $100 for half an hour. Additional time will be charged in half-hour increments. Shipping agents will handle all necessary procedures and permits for the crew replacements process. The head of Egypt's National Seismic Network, Sharif El-Hadi, has confirmed that around 15 aftershocks have been recorded so far following today's 6.2 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Crete. El-Hadi reassured the public that Egypt remains well outside the world's major seismic zones. He explained that there are 7 known seismic belts globally, and Egypt is not located near any of them. The cabinet, chaired by Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, has approved the use of R-factor, the profitability factor, in certain petroleum agreements. The R-factor allows companies to recover costs efficiently in the early stages of exploration, while ensuring the government receives a larger share as revenue increase. The new system is expected to attract more companies to explore untapped areas in the Mediterranean, boost exploration activities, and support the domestic gas market. Additionally, the cabinet approved amendments to the concession agreements for the Masri and Cairo blocks in the Mediterranean, allowing the application of the R-factor for the Egyptian natural gas holding company EGAS and US ExxonMobil. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli has revealed that Alon Resources, in partnership with the Egyptian Mineral Resources Authority, has made a significant commercial gold discovery at the Abu Marawat gold mine in the Eastern Desert. Madbouli noted that Alon Resources, listed on international stock exchange, anticipates the mine to be a major find for Egypt. He also highlighted the Anglo Gold's Ashtani's additional exploration at the Sukari mine confirmed sufficient gold reserves for another 10 years of production, with output over the next 8 years expected to surpass that of the past 15 years. Hossam Heiba, CEO of Egypt's Gafi, has met with Alpha Lu, Director General of Investment Hong Kong. discuss Hong Kong's success in creating financial districts. Haber shared Egypt's plans to establish similar zones to attract global investment and position Egypt as a top investment hub in Africa and the Middle East. He emphasized Egypt's large market and skilled workforce, highlighting sectors like renewable energy, automotive, and healthcare for investment. Low noted increasing interests from Chinese investors attracted by Egypt's strategic location and market access, which led Invest Hong Kong to open a Cairo office last year. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin. Here is what we've been covering. President Sisi tells UK Prime Minister Summer Egypt family rejects any displacement of Palestinians. President Sisi meets with Prime Minister Madbouly and Petroleum Minister Badawi to review Egypt's energy readiness for summer. And Egypt welcomes growing international criticism of Israeli actions in Gaza. And that's all for now. Remember to stay updated by following Qnews for the latest developments. Thanks for watching.